So what do you people out there think? Email us or tweet us. What do you think, Malcolm? What do you think, Karen?
Well, I think that you're listening to Fox News too much. First of all, the question was...
ABC is not Fox News.
Well, the question is whether he was a deserter or not, which we're not sure. We pretty much think he was a deserter.
I absolutely do believe he was a deserter.
Well, I didn't even touch on that. I was just mentioning the fact that they traded some hardcore people.
I have to say something.
Say
As they say, hold on, in Maryland.
Okay.
I think that was an exchange with a plan. Okay? And I am the least conspiracy theory person on the planet, okay? But I absolutely believe that was an exchange with a plan already in place. I do not for 1 second believe that they let these 5 momsers leave prison, okay, leave Guantanamo Bay, these dangerous lunatics, okay, without knowing exactly where they were going to be and what was going to happen. And I'm not talking about partying in wherever they are.
Qatar.
Yeah. And that's not the part I'm talking about. At a certain point, they're just like Bergdahl, okay, that little putz, okay, that I think went over there with a plan to actually join the Taliban because he had such pity for the Afghani people. And what people don't talk about is that he was in constant contact with his father when he was in supposedly being held by the Taliban. How is that humanly possible? Okay?
Internet.
You know, really? And did he look like a guy that had been tortured and beaten?
I don't know what a guy who was tortured and beaten is. And as a matter of fact, there's torture, there's physical torture, and there's mental torture.
And what did they do in Guantanamo Bay with the 5 Fruit Loops?
But they've been in there since, what, 2001, 2002?
Yeah.
So they're more or less, those Fruit Loops are out of the loop right now as far as...
My point.
But they were Al-Qaeda, right?
I have no idea.
But they weren't... I always forget between the Al-Qaeda and the Taliban.
I'm saying...
One is a terrorist group, the other, if necessary, is guerrilla warfare.
I honestly don't know. Or let's say I don't remember. I did read it up, but it's impossible to keep track of all the facts.
You know what? And I think that this was an exchange with a plan.
And what was the plan?
You know what? I don't for 1 second think that either of the 5 guys that were in Guantanamo Bay or Bergdahl, that there was no understanding of what was actually...
So you say it's like a reverse Homeland situation?
I'm sorry, I never watched that show.
Oh, you never watched it. Okay.
But I do not for 1 second... I've worked with the government. I do not for 1 second think that this was done with, okay, guys, go get a nice cream soda, and they were let go.
So you think the people in our government are that clever and that smart?
I think there are certainly segments of our government. And I got to tell you, I think that Obama has said, God, from the minute that he got the keys, this has been a nightmare for him.
Well, let me ask you a question. If the government is so smart, when they allegedly killed Osama bin Laden, they confiscated all of his computers and hard drives and everything, and they made the announcement immediately. If that stuff was real, why wouldn't they check it all out first and trace back to all of the sources, taking as long as it takes, and then make the announcement? Because once you make the announcement that I have all your computers, all of those leads will freeze up and shut down.
I don't for 1 second believe that was Osama bin Laden. I think Osama bin Laden was dead the December after.
Both of you agree on that.
That's my story. And
that's what exactly in my kishkas.
I'm going to send you an article that I wrote that I'm trying to get published, and it is very thoroughly documented.
I remember walking into my friend's studio one day, and I said, Osama bin Laden is dead, and this was December of 2001. And he looked at me and he said, "What are you talking about? Did you just see it on the news?" And I said, "No, you're not going to see it on the news. What are you talking about?" There is a purpose for keeping him alive, even in theory, because then what other reason do you have to go to war?
Thank you very much.
I think I'm in the wrong studios. I don't know. Is this Fox News Network?
No,
Oh,
this
no,
is
no, no.
And they changed to it?
This is
I am-
reality,
no.
Malcolm.
Malcolm, I'm a rabid Democrat. Okay, I was born one. I will die one.
I'm not sure what a Democrat is nowadays. Anyway,
You know what? But I was a Kennedy girl. Okay, I 150% do not believe that this war. We belong going to war in Iraq like we belong having migraines.
Like we belong in Iraq or maybe Iran, yeah.
We don't belong in the. We don't belong there. Okay, what in the world are we doing there? Those were not the guys that were in the planes.
No, well, I think out of them it was the Saudi Arabians.
You know, that was in my I wrote a book in 1996. Predicting that it was all predictions, that a warlord would come down from the mountains of Afghanistan and bring terror to our shores. And you know what I was told by publishers? That it was too serious. They wanted more Hollywood stuff.
Well, maybe we should republish it now, reissue it.
And when it happened, it was like not a surprise to me. And I lost 13 people in the Twin Towers, clients and friends. And so I had a big emotional difficulty with it.
Well, certain things are never resolved, and I don't think we'll ever resolve what truly happened.
How much time do we have before the break?
3 minutes.
I have to tell you a story real quick.
Okay.
We had a guest lecture at the Sheriff's Department a few years ago. Remember the movie Munich?
Of course.
Okay.
I was dating one of the guys.
All right. The real guy who was played by Eric Banya, he was there, and he gave the lecture.
Right.
About security and everything and so forth and so on. And he told us a story which was unbelievable. He was on a special committee, and he would go to the White House once a month, bringing information from Israel, and he provided information that the Twin Towers were going to be attacked a month before. And it was poo-pooed. This can't happen here. No, maybe in England or some other place. This can't happen here. And bingo, it happened. Okay, this is from one of their ex-top spies, the guy who did the assassinations in the movie.
So you mean Mossad knew about it and had informed our government?
Had informed.
Well,
Mossad
that is actually
also,
that's documented.
And we didn't pay any attention.
Nobody did.
Mossad also told this government that Osama bin Laden is dead, buried under tons of dirt in the Tora Bora Mountains.
I knew that December of 2001.
I think you guys are doing a great job of rewriting history.
Malcolm,
but I don't know whether we're
do you think that, first of all, I wouldn't want to be a politician for all the tea in China, okay? And I'm a coffee drinker, okay?
Well, I'd like all the tea in the United States, especially when they legalize marijuana.
But different kind of tea, I think. But I look at all the maneuvering that's done, and I'm not talking about just here. Over our lifetimes, the world has become a much smaller place. And there is so much, well, I call it the chicken dance, okay, to even get along with each other. Because if you want a reason to not like somebody, my mom used to say, just open your eyes. They're too tall, too short, they're the wrong religion, they don't believe the same, or dress the same, or pray the same, or eat the same as you do. And I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. As
long as they agree with you.
No, they don't have to. I mean, they don't have to agree with me. I have usually had very contrary opinions most of my life to what the public thinks.
Well, what the public has been brainwashed to think.
What becomes the common knowledge of the public?
Well, as I said, I think I mentioned to you at the polling place last week when I went there, this woman was saying, "Well, I heard it on Fox News and it was on the internet, so it must be true."
I
oh my God!
It's like, really?
But you know what?
That's frightening.
when you think, a lot of people say Republicans generate wars, Democrats don't. But if you think back, all of the wars we've been in were under Democratic presidents.
Okay.
Going back to World War I.
No.
Stan, who do we have? We're coming up to the break. Who do we have after the break?
We have a special guest today. I hope we have him on the phone. Great. His name is Stanley Dyrector. Okay, a long, long time ago, before most of you people out there were born, we had in our country a governmental investigative agency that he is going to talk about.
Okay, hold on to that. We'll be back in a few minutes. You're listening to The View from Over Here, heard on CRN Digital Talk Radio and carried on the World Wide Web at crntalk.com. Stay tuned.
Riviera, as the name implies, is the ultimate in Calabasas restaurants. They don't even have a close second. And what is better suited for the Beverly Hills of the Valley than a Beverly Hills type of restaurant watering hole, but without the prices of Beverly Hills? They are so good and with such impeccable service that they probably don't even need a commercial. Even now, it's hard to get a good table except for off hours. But if you really want to treat yourself or your date, call 818-224-2163.
Someday there'll be a cure. Someday we won't lose the people we love. But when is someday? Someday is today. Thanks to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, hundreds of thousands diagnosed with blood cancer are today living a normal life. We're making cures happen. Join us. Call 888-HELP-LLS. Go to LLS.org. Help us reach today sooner. Every day is Save the Earth Day, and each of us has a part to play. For more information and how you can do your part to save the Earth, contact us at SaveTheWorld.net. That's SaveTheWorld.net. Homeowners, there's never been a more affordable time to help protect your home and loved ones. You can now get a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer, with the installation of a new ADT monitored system. Call Protect Your Home today at 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. Call now. 36-month monitoring contract required. General terms and conditions apply. Visit protectyourhome.com/terms.
Go.
Okay, we're back in downtown glamorous Sunland. This is Stan Weisleder on The View from Over Here. In the studio with me today is Malcom Burman and Karen Page, and we have our special guest today, Stanley Dyrector. A little bit about him before we have him say his own thing. Way back, we had this very ultra-patriotic group called the House of Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, okay? Their job was to weed out all of these subversives in our government, our society, and in particular, the entertainment industry, zeroing in on anyone who is, ever was, or might have been a communist. Stanley Dyrector not only lived through that infamous era, he wrote about it and is here with us today to tell us what it was like.
Stanley?
Yeah.
This is Malcom Burman. Question for you. Have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
You know something? I don't think I was, but when I was a little kid growing up in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn,
Yay!
and I was like maybe, I say really little, like 6 years old, I think somebody came up to me with a petition to vote for, what was it, to vote for Alvin Barkley or somebody in some kind of leftist
I think Alvin
party?
Barkley was vice president to
Right,
with
to
Truman,
FDR. Wasn't he
Truman
FDR?
or FDR? Maybe FDR.
But anyway, either way, no. But
you might be thinking of Norman Thomas, who was I think Norman Thomas was the candidate for about 6 times, I think, for the Communist or the Socialist Party.
Well, I was a little kid at the time, but I do recall as I got older that the Communist Party was actually on our ballot, along with the Socialist Party, Democratic, Republican, Liberal, etc.
I remember that.
That was a long time ago.
That's right, and I believe if you guys can, I'm not a historian by any chance, but happen to have been around good company and was able to kind of glom a few things, which I put in my book.
Okay, so you were a commie when you were 6 years old. Okay.
6 years old, right. You know, actually,
danger.
That's really funny because there were people that were named as communists and they were kids or they were, you know, not even from this country and were not communists.
They couldn't even walk or talk, and yet they were singled out and named.
Right. Well, in my book, with a foreword by Edward Asner, it's called Shedding Light on the Hollywood Blacklist, Conversations with Participants, and it is available on Amazon in soft cover, or you can download it, as well as Apple or Nook, or all those good guys, and my publisher, Bear Manor Media. But let me get to the point of communism. I was fortunate enough to have a TV show. Actually, I was fortunate enough to have a wife named Joyce, who I still have. And
happy to hear you kept her.
After how many years?
Oh, man. Don't. You know, there's a thing, I have to throw this at you. There's a thing called ageism in Hollywood.
Oh, isn't that
And if they kind of know what your age is, you're kind of fodder for their pork.
So you and your sweetheart are newlyweds.
Well,
we understand that.
Sure. living in sin for a while, but and never caught by.
We won't tell anyone,
Nope,
and
our
even
secret.
our 1 million listeners will tell them to keep it, to hush up on it.
Let's say Jack Benny's age.
Okay, that works. 39's a good number.
Yeah, we'll go in that area.
Okay.
So, anyway, my wife, I also happen to be a member of the Writers Guild of America West, but prior to that, I was SAG for a long time, and then we merged into AFTRA, which I'm a member of too.
Me too.
My wife Joyce was a member of the Women's Committee of the Writers Guild of America. I met her prior to that, but needless to say, she met Norma Bosman, who was on the Women's Committee at that particular time. And Norma Bosman was a blacklisted writer, along with her husband, Ben Bosman, who they had to flee this country because one of the incidents in Norma Bosman's life was that a blonde lady came up Sunset Plaza Drive where Norma and her husband, Ben, were living with their kids, and this blonde lady, this very pretty blonde lady, said, Mrs. Bosman, down below on Sunset Boulevard and Sunset Plaza, the sheriffs and the law enforcement want to know where you live and want to know if I'm visiting you. Well, needless to say, that blonde lady was Marilyn Monroe, who tipped off the Bosmans that the FBI and the cops were on their tail for having meetings, clandestine meetings supposedly, with communists in their pad on Sunset Plaza Drive. Norma and Ben fled. This is not in the exact order, but they fled to France, where they did very well in France, living next to Picasso, who would paint little things, and Norma would have privileges on the, I guess, what you'd call the reprints, the reproductions of Picasso's work. and she and Ben wrote overseas, and Ben worked for a gentleman named Philip Yordan, who produced El Cid, and Ben wrote that movie. And these people used pseudonyms, and when these films were released in the States, and there was a whole sort of litigation eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what was the name of that movie with Woody Allen, I think, called The Front?
That's right. Written by Walter Bernstein, who was a blacklisted writer who used to write with one of the people in my interviews in Shedding Light, Abraham Lincoln Polanski. Who
Abraham Lincoln Polanski?
That was his real name, Abe Polanski's real name. And he also wrote Body and Soul with John Garfield.
It's one of my favorite movies, with John Garfield and Lily Palmer. And Force of Evil. With John Garfield, and later on when he was... and he also wrote the Harry Belafonte...
Hey, Stanley, we have a break coming up. Don't go away. You'll be back with us, but I have a quickie question for you. When did HUAC actually begin, and when did it end?
Okie dokie. I'll give you a little shot on that. Oh, you want an answer now?
Now, think about it.
Think about it. We have our break now.
You're listening to The View from Over Here, heard on CRN Digital Talk Radio and carried on the World Wide Web at crntalk.com. You can get all our back shows at www.viewfromoverhere.com. Don't use The View, it's viewfromoverhere.com. And you can contact Stan or I and give you all the information. Anyway, stay tuned, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Bye-bye.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Listen up, America!
Listen up, America. I'm talking to anyone with or without a pre-existing medical condition. A health insurance hotline has now been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Call now for a free, no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. 1-800-402-7599. I repeat, this is a hotline providing free quotes for affordable health plans. It's for anyone without health insurance, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Medical costs are the #1 cause of bankruptcy and financial distress. All uninsured Americans are strongly urged to call this National Health Insurance Hotline right away to protect yourself and your family from an unexpected variety of medical costs that could cause financial hardship. Call the Health Insurance Hotline right now for a free quote at 1-800-402-7599. That's 1-800-402-7599. Call 1-800-402-7599.
Fact. U.S. credit card debt is 8 times larger than it was 30 years ago. No wonder you and I are feeling the credit card crunch. You're not alone. Increasing prices and the costs of credit are stretching budgets and preventing people just like us from getting ahead or just catching up with our debts. At American Financial Debt Relief, we can help. We have tested ways to help you get out of debt. Find out how now. The call is free to learn more. If you qualify, we can reduce your interest, show you how to stop your debt from getting larger, and help you get out of debt faster than you can by making minimum payments. So if you're falling behind on your credit cards or medical bills, give us a call right now, where a free 5-minute call can change your life.
800-978-4817. 800-978-4817. Reduce your credit card debt. Call now. 800-978-4817. 800-978-4817.
Bingo, bingo, bingo! Greater Van Nuys Rotary presents Bingo at Birmingham Charter High School, Wednesday, June 25th at 6:30 p.m. Win cash prizes up to $200. Your $20 donation gets you 30 playing cards and 16 bingo games. Every game pays cash. Remember, Wednesday, June 25th at 6:30 p.m. Bingo at Birmingham High, sponsored by the law offices of Richard T. Miller, EHB QuickBooks, Rotarian Ron Wolf, and The View from Over Here on CRN Digital Talk Radio. For more information, call 818-994-8234. 818-994-8234. Come on down to Bingo!
Here's something you don't hear on the radio every day. Someone who can't see. I am totally blind, and I go through periods where I'm unable to sleep at night and feel like I'm constantly running but can never quite catch up. But this isn't a sleep problem. It's something called non-24. Learn about the link between total blindness and your symptoms. Visit learnmorenon24.com or call 855-856-2424.
Sponsored by Vanda Pharmaceuticals.
Okay, we're back. This is Stan Weisleder on The View from Over Here on CRNTalk.com, and we are broadcast all over the planet. Okay.
And everybody heard your goof, but that's okay.
No, that's not. I did that on purpose.
Creative.
I was testing you to see if you're awake. I'm here in the studio with Malcom Burman, Karen Page, and our special guest today, Stanley Dyrector, who is, I guess, like an expert on the House of Un-American Activity.
Or UAC, and you had asked him a question.
UAC. And the C stands for committee. Stanley, so when did they initiate, when did they start, and when did they close up shop?
You know, that's a very good question, and I have a nebulous answer, and I have a concrete answer.
Okay, which one do you want to give us?
The nebulous was that there were factions of the government that wanted to, I guess, red bait early on in the 30s, you might say, and they went under different names, okay, different titles, which it would take me a year and a day to go through. But let's go to HUAC. HUAC actually started in 1947, and that was what was known as the House Un-American Activities Committee, the first wave of HUAC. And they had 12, actually they had, I think it was like 18, something like 18 victims, you might say, to put before the fire in Salem.
Hold over the grill.
Wasn't Dalton Trumbo one of those?
Yes, he was.
Did you ever interview him?
No, but I did interview Jean Ruverol Butler, whose husband, Mr. Butler, I shall say at this moment. They all fled to Mexico, and Jean fled with Dalton Trumbo's wife. And they had to get out of the States and went to Mexico. I knew of Dalton, and I interviewed some people that were friends of Dalton Trumbo. These are old-timers, and many of them not around anymore. For instance, Millard Kaufman was Dalton Trumbo's front on a particular movie. And it was a very stressful time for Millard, I remember, in our conversations, because he had to get it straight with his wife also. Should I be a front for Dalton Trumbo? And she went along with him, and here was a guy who was under contract to MGM, Mr. Kaufman, for many years, had security and everything like that, but he was going to take the bullet, and he fronted for Dalton.
Did you ever interview?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No. Did you ever interview Elia Kazan?
Elia Kazan, here was the deal. I didn't get to interview him because of a couple of things that went on. One thing in particular was I did not want to ever approach Kazan because I interviewed Abraham Lincoln Polanski, okay?
That is the funniest name on the planet.
His father named him, gave him the middle name of Lincoln. And Abe, who was a very down-to-earth, acerbic gentleman, just disliked Kazan for being a rat, and that's how he called it. That's how he named it, Abe. And I just that kind of, in my conversations, I did 2 interviews with Abe Polanski, and we were going to do a third one before he passed away. He was actually picketing the night of the Academy Awards where Kazan received that honorary Academy Award. And this disgusted Polanski, and that's why he went out there picketed with Norma Borsman and other blacklisted screenwriters.
Well, when did HUAC end? You told us it started in 47.
Around 47, and it kind of really ended, you might say, after Ed Murrow kind of gave him kind of made Joe McCarthy look like crap.
Yeah.
In other words, here's the deal. UAC was first, okay? The McCarthy era came in the 50s, okay? So people, it is now an umbrella. They call it the McCarthy era. But it was really, McCarthy came later, and he did not go to Hollywood, okay? As far as we know. McCarthy was looking for Reds
in the government.
Washington and the Army and all that kind of stuff.
But was he part of UAC also under that authority?
He was not UAC, no.
He was not.
No, he was not. UAC was its own, J. Parnell Thomas and a whole bunch of other kind of...
In fact, there was a movie about UAC that John Wayne played in. I remember it.
That's interesting.
He was in Hawaii or something?
What was the movie? Tell me about the movie.
Because him and actually James Arness, I think, were two detectives in Hawaii.
I don't remember the other actors, but I remember him being in there about promoting HUAC.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was obviously
the Witch Hunt Squad.
He was very anti-communist. However, he worked with Jeff Corey twice, and remember, Jeff Corey was a blacklisted actor who became a very renowned drama coach. He taught people like, or let's say, people like Nicholson, Jack Nicholson, Barbara Streisand, James Dean, Monroe. They sat in on his classes. And so he had done a film with John Wayne before he had been blacklisted. The name of the film slips my mind, but it was remade again and won Oscars for the two ladies who, prior and after.
But you still haven't told us when you think HUAC shut down.
I think it's probably shut down in the 60s. I'll tell you why, because Robert Lees, who was a dear friend of mine and who met an unfortunate end. Robert Lees was a gentleman who wrote Abbott and Costello movies with his partner Fred Rinaldi. And he was among the second wave of HUAC. You see, there were two waves, as I mentioned before. First, in 47, 48, and then in the kind of like, actually it was in the 49 or something like that, and he went before the committee. He was supposed to appear before the committee, Polanski and also Bob Lees, and when Sterling Hayden first testified, and Sterling Hayden didn't want to name names, but he said, okay, only names I remember are Robert Lees and Abraham Polanski. So their goose was cooked, those guys.
But you know something? They were, from what I read in that period, they were, communism is not doesn't mean the same thing now as it did then.
That's exactly right. It has a completely different understanding
we were allies with Russia, and they hadn't gone into their true form of communism. And if you read the Communist Manifesto, basically it's supposed to be a withering away. The last step is a withering away of the government, and all property is owned by the people, which is not so bad a philosophy if it could be done. The only problem with communism is that there's never a withering away of the government.
Yeah. Well, the Russians gave up on it, and that was the biggest communist country of all.
But I could see in the 30s and the 40s, if the philosophy was that the workers take over and that there was freedom for everyone being equal,
at China.
That was a good philosophy.
China was supposed to be a big communist country, and they're as capitalistic as anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, they are, but here's the deal with the people that were on my show, people like Bernard Gordon, Gene Butler, as I say, Marsha Hunt, a whole slew of people. Their thing was they joined the Communist Party because it was going to help minorities get work, get jobs, particularly in Hollywood. Bernie Gordon, his wife worked at the USO, and he wrote in a screenplay, there was a black taxi driver, And his Caucasian producer said, but wait, look, the people down south don't want blacks mingling with whites. And they had to change it. You know, for a silly 1 or 2 lines, gave it to a white actor. So these people were for women's rights, minority rights, all that kind of stuff until they found out that Stalin was a bum. Until they found out that Stalin was knocking people off.
Is that a technical word, bum?
Well, I still
That's
think,
a great description.
I still think a lot of people don't realize that Stalin killed over 20 million people, including some of his own.
Right.
That's a huge number.
A lot of his own.
Yeah,
and this is, but you know, let us not mix up World War II communism with what communism is today.
That's exactly what I said earlier.
Well, not today and what it was with
It doesn't
Lenin
exist
and
today, except maybe in Albania, I believe, and maybe Cuba.
No, see, I think there is communism, but it's not the communism that we grew up with.
We knew a lot.
Not our understanding of what it was when we were growing up.
But you know the caveat to all of this? You're not going to believe this. There's a new Hollywood blacklist.
For what?
And, you know, for what? Every writer I know wants to get on. Why? Because it is the best unproduced screenplays is what this is all about.
Yeah, could you explain that?
There is a company that is capitalizing on the blacklist in its own manner, and when I ran this by 2 ladies who are survivors of the blacklist, they were really like ticked off. I don't want to mention names, but they're over
why
90.
not?
Well, I don't think Norma Bosman was that thrilled about knowing about that, nor was Marsha Hunt that thrilled about knowing about this.
Are they still alive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Norma is very creative and I remember seeing her about 8 months ago. She was writing another book. She's had a bunch of books published, by the way, Norma Bosman.
Well, Stanley, I have a very important question for you. Well, they're all important.
Uh-oh.
But since we have, at least for 2 terms anyway, a black president, do you think we're going to get a new black list coming up?
Ooh.
Well,
we need a rim shot on that one, definitely.
You know, that's, actually, I'm a concerned American. I'm a concerned American that we all should be heard. Everybody should be heard from and throw their 2 cents in the arena.
Yeah, as long as you agree with us.
No.
You throw your, well, now it's more than 2 cents, though, guys. You know that.
Yeah, it's that 2 cents is a quarter now.
A quarter, more than a quarter.
Right. Look, I'd like everybody to get a shot, but you know as well as I do, it's tough going. I mean, you've got to get in the trenches and dig to try and accomplish something. Nothing.
When everybody's beating you up, you can't do anything right.
Now, Stanley,
I'm sorry,
Stanley,
but who would want that job?
What are you doing now? Are you acting? Or are you writing new books?
Actually, wait a minute. I'm acting. And it's so, and I'm also writing a book on comedians because I belong to the group called Yarmy's Army. I don't know if you guys know Yarmy's Army.
No. We do now.
Oh, yeah, well, actually...
Funny you should ask.
Bunch of funny guys.
Anyway, Stanley, we're going to have to wait till you come back next time because we run out of time.
Wait, you can get Stanley Dyrector, www.stanleydyrector.com, the director with a Y, so you can find out more about the book.
Yes.
Sounds good, and thank you very much for joining us.
And we want you to come back, really. We're not done with you.
You're through with me, kicking me out.
In fact, we want you in the studio so we can go eyeball to eyeball.
Okay. Okay.
Well, which
you
is,
got it.
And then we could see the sweat on your brow.
And then we could really rake him over the coals.
Right. Thanks again.
I'll give you a rake you wouldn't believe.
Thanks again, Stanley. You're listening to The View from Over Here, heard on CRN Digital Talk Radio and carried on the World Wide Web at crntalk.com. Be back in a few minutes.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Minetti. And many of you out there suffer from skin problems. Well, I've been telling you for months how to solve that problem. It's called Herpanicin. It's the most unique and effective formula on the market. It cleans your skin from the inside out. It gets rid of all kinds of acne on your back, your neck, your face, so you can feel and you could look like a movie star. Herpanicin is a natural supplement. It was created by Dr. Wayne Diamond and his staff, and trust me, this really works. I've been on these supplements for over a year now and never had a problem. There is no reason in the world to wake up and be afraid to look in the mirror. You trust Larry. Just try it. Call 888-467-4200. 888-467-4200.
Hi, this is Fred Dreyer. Join us for the PM show Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, here on CRN Digital Talk Radio. We'll discuss common sense and reason as it applies to the insanity of American politics. Once again, it's the PM show with Fred Dreyer, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on CRN Digital Talk Radio.
Attention, if you've had hip replacement surgery and suffered any complications, you need to listen to this important legal alert. Major manufacturers have made billions of dollars available to award legal claims for defective hip implants. Thousands of these defective hip implants have been recalled by various manufacturers. If you've had hip surgery and suffered complications, you may be entitled to receive significant compensation to help you deal with your complications. You may be eligible to receive money to help with medical expenses, lost wages, and pain and suffering. Protect yourself by hiring an experienced trial attorney. Our partner law firms are experts in hip replacement surgery lawsuits. Find out now if you're eligible to receive any of the $2.5 billion HIP settlement fund. Call now for free information.
855-586-1561. 855-586-1561. 855-586-1561. That's 855-586-1561.
Do you have unfiled tax returns or owe the IRS or state more than $10,000? If you don't take action now, your tax problem is going to get worse, much worse. Seizure of property, bank levies, wage garnishments, and potential criminal prosecution. And if you owe the IRS back payroll taxes, chances are you will be visited at your home or business by an IRS agent. Don't become paralyzed by fear. Take action now. Call the experts at U.S. Tax Shield for help. Our team of experienced tax attorneys can get you protected, stop collections, and negotiate a permanent settlement with the IRS and state, potentially saving you thousands of dollars. At U.S. Tax Shield, our tax advisors will review your case for free, inform you of your rights, and give you a guaranteed quote. No games and no tricky upsells. That's why we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients. Put an end to your torment. Get protected. Get the Shield. Call U.S. Tax Shield now at 800-211-8753. That's 800-211-8753. 800-211-8753.
Okay, we're back again. This is Stan Weisleder on The View from Over Here. CRNTalk.com. All over the whole planet. That's where we're being broadcast.
And globe. And beyond.
And beyond, yes. So
I have no idea. What's beyond?
Beyond, there's a, what do you call it, that's going to come within 800,000 miles of the Earth.
It's supposed to be.
And the moon is only 250,000 miles away, so the distance is just a little bit more than 3 times where we are from here to the moon.
It's like going down to Orange County at rush hour.
Yeah, so Karen, will that, what do you call it, comet or asteroid hit us?
No.
No way.
Don't
okay.
lose an ounce of sleep over it.
All right.
Well, the good thing is, if it does hit us, we don't know if you're wrong.
Oh, you'll know.
That's very funny. Oh, trust me, we'll know I'm wrong if that
anyway,
happens.
Listen, Karen, what's your feel on the Bergdahl thing and the VA fiasco, and anything else on your mind that you want to talk about?
Well, neither of those are going to go away for quite a while, and there will be, it'll sort of come in chapters, the Bergdahl thing. And the VA fiasco, it's going to be revealed that this is a long-term, since post-Vietnam, this has been a long-term systemic problem. Plus, there is going to be, oh, God forgive me, one more fun government episode coming up this week.
Which is?
Really? What is it?
Oh, it's going to be some other goodie that is going to be in the caliber of those.
So, and you're not revealing it, huh?
No. All I know is that everybody's going to go, are you kidding?
We do that anyway every week.
No. These are both. These are enormous.
Wow. Okay.
Right. Talking about the news. Where I was watching Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, you know.
You were watching Fox News?
I watch it because I get angry at them. If I watch CNN or something I agree with, you know.
Is it just to keep your blood boiling?
Right. But the thing is,
I watch Fox News when I'm changing channels. That's the only time I see it.
Yeah, listen to it, and you see the words that they use, and everything.
Oh, they're all
negative
insightful.
Tone.
Yes.
And everything that is negative, they talk. You know, they'll report. Don't you agree with that, Art? No, Art's shaking his head.
He doesn't agree.
He's to the right of the right, I think.
He's a gung-ho Marine. He's not going to agree with you.
Well, after 6 years in the Marines, they brainwash you. And he's agreeing with that.
Brainwashed, rinsed, and dry cleaned at the same time.
But I was listening to it this morning, and the way they word things is amazing. And the article, you know...
Well, the Fox motto, I think, is be afraid, be very afraid. You know, and it's true.
And it's all Obama's fault.
Everything. And before Obama was born, it was his fault. You know, I mean...
Well, I agree with him on something. He's not the best president in the world, but there's no alternatives.
To say something.
But, you know, he is a great speaker.
But I have to say something. I want you to look at what he came in on, okay, and what has been one thing after another
He came in on crap, truly.
Thank you.
He came in on total crap.
A nightmare. And nobody, and then the Tea Party... Not to offend anybody, okay?
Let's offend the Tea Party.
Okay,
they're all morons.
Thank you. The Tea Party went, I mean, just all out.
Under that note, let's do away with politics.
Can we?
Next week, no more politics.
One thing about the Tea Party, they've ruined the Republican Party, maybe for good.
I don't know. They were kind of on the way to it.
Okay, no more politics, no more politics.
No more politics.
It's too aggravating, and there's no solution.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, guys. You're listening to The View from Over Here, heard on CRN Digital Talk Radio and carried on the World Wide Web at crn.com. And you can get all our back shows at www.viewfromoverhere.com.
And KarenPage.com.
And KarenPage.com.
And my book.
Which is?
My Life Across the Table, Stories from a Psychic's Life. Available everywhere.
Okay, guys. See you next week.
All right, next week, guys. Okay, have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
The View from Over Here is a co-production of Infinity X and TBG International. For further information, contact Malcom Burman at 818-687-2784. That's 818-687-2784.
CRN Digital Talk Radio prides itself on being the station of every situation. Of course, you can always listen live through your local cable TV provider, as well as on our website at crntalk.com. But if cutting-edge technology is more your style, you'll be happy to know that CRN is now available on Wi-Fi radio. Simply log on to Reciva.com, that's RECIVA.com, and look for CRN. You can access all of our great shows and listen live